They say the best moments in life are the ones you never planned for. The ones that catch you off guard when you're standing in a restaurant parking lot, staring at your phone, reading a text that says, "I can't make it. Sorry." I'm not the kind of man who believes in fate. I'm a project manager. I believe in spreadsheets, timelines, and calculated risks. I believe in showing up on time and keeping your word. So when my blind date cancelled 15 minutes before we were supposed to meet, I should have just gone home. I should have ordered takeout, watched a game, and deleted that dating app for the 100th time. But I didn't. Instead, I stood there in the fading September light, keys in hand, watching the sun paint the sky in shades of amber and rose. And that's when I heard it, a sound that didn't belong in a parking lot outside Giovanni's Italian restaurant. The sound of a child crying. Then another child's voice, older, trying to soothe. And underneath it all, a woman's broken sobs, the kind that come from somewhere deep and desperate. I'm not a hero. I've never claimed to be. But I am my mother's son, and she raised me to never walk away from someone in pain. So I followed that sound around the corner of the building, past the dumpsters and the employee entrance, to where a rusted Honda sat with its hood slightly raised, steam curling into the cool evening air. What I found there would change everything. Not just my Friday night. Not just my weekend. My entire life. Because sometimes, the universe doesn't give you what you want. Sometimes, it gives you exactly what you need. The first thing I noticed was her hands. They were gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles had gone white, and even from 15 feet away, I could see them trembling. She was bent forward, forehead pressed against those hands, shoulders shaking with sobs she was trying desperately to muffle. In the back seat, 2 kids, a boy who couldn't have been more than 7 and a girl around 5, sat wide-eyed and terrified, the boy holding his sister's hand while she clutched a stuffed rabbit that had seen better days. "Mommy, please don't cry," the boy said, his voice cracking with fear. "It's okay. We're not that hungry." That sentence hit me like a freight train. I approached slowly, the way you might approach a wounded animal, and tapped gently on the driver's side window. The woman's head snapped up, and for a moment, our eyes met. Hers were the color of honey, but rimmed red with tears and exhaustion. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she wore scrubs with cartoon characters on them. A pediatric nurse or medical assistant, I guessed. She quickly wiped her eyes and rolled down the window a crack, not enough to suggest trust, just enough to hear what I wanted. "I'm sorry to bother you," I said, keeping my voice soft. "I'm Jake. I was just heading into the restaurant when I heard." "Are you okay? Is there something I can help with?" "We're fine," she said automatically, but her voice betrayed her. It was hoarse, defeated. "Just car trouble. We'll be fine." I glanced at the hood. "It's steaming pretty badly. When's the last time you checked your coolant?" She laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "I don't even know what coolant is. I don't know anything about cars. My ex-husband used to." She stopped herself, shook her head. "It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out." The little girl in the back started crying harder. "I'm hungry, Mama." The woman's face crumpled, and she turned away from me, pressing her hand to her mouth. That's when I noticed her phone on the passenger seat, screen cracked, showing a text conversation. I couldn't read it all, but I caught fragments. "Emergency shift, can't watch the kids, sorry, I know you had plans." "Look," I said, making a decision that probably wasn't smart but felt necessary, "I was supposed to meet someone for dinner, but they cancelled. I've got a reservation for 2 at Giovanni's Inn." I checked my phone, 12 minutes. The food here is incredible. Why don't you and your kids come inside, let me buy you dinner, and I'll take a look at your car after we eat. I'm not a mechanic, but I can at least check the basics." She stared at me like I'd just spoken in a foreign language. "Why would you do that?" "Because your daughter is hungry," I said simply. "And because someone once helped me when I needed it. This is me paying it forward." For a long moment, she didn't move. Then the boy spoke up from the back seat. "Mommy, can we? Please? I promise I'll just get the cheapest thing." That broke her. A fresh tear rolled down her cheek, and she nodded slowly. "Okay. But I can't accept charity. I'll pay you back somehow. I don't know how yet, but I will." "We'll figure it out," I said, opening her door. "I'm Jake, by the way. Jake Morrison." "Sarah," she said quietly, taking my offered hand to help her out. "Sarah Chen. And these are my kids, Marcus and Lily." Marcus looked at me with suspicion, but Lily smiled shyly, hugging her rabbit tighter. "His name is Mr. Buns," she informed me seriously. "Mr. Buns is an excellent name," I said, crouching down to her level. "Does he like spaghetti?" She giggled. "Rabbits don't eat spaghetti, silly." "Well then, I guess that means more for us." As we walked toward the restaurant, Sarah beside me and the kids trailing just behind, I had no idea that I'd just made the most important decision of my life. I didn't know that Sarah was running from more than just a broken-down car. I didn't know about the violent ex-husband who'd emptied their bank accounts and left them with nothing. I didn't know about the eviction notice or the medical bills or the courage it took for her to just keep breathing every day. All I knew was that something in my chest had shifted the moment I heard that little boy say, "We're not that hungry." And I knew, somehow, that I wasn't going to walk away from this family. Not tonight. Maybe not ever. Giovanni's was bustling with the Friday night crowd. Couples on date nights, families celebrating, friends laughing over wine. The hostess, Maria, greeted me with her usual warm smile, and if she was surprised to see me arrive with a woman and 2 children instead of the mysterious blind date she'd been expecting, she didn't show it. "Your usual table, Mr. Morrison?" she asked, grabbing 4 menus instead of 2 without missing a beat. "That would be perfect, Maria. Thank you." She led us to a corner booth with burgundy leather seats and a small candle flickering in an amber glass holder. It was private, away from the main crowd, exactly what Sarah and her kids needed. Marcus slid in first, still watching me warily, followed by Lily, who carefully positioned Mr. Buns next to her. Sarah hesitated before sliding in beside her daughter, and I took the seat across from them. "Mommy, there's so many words," Lily whispered loudly, staring at the menu with wide eyes. Sarah's face flushed. "Sweetie, remember we talked about inside voices?" "It's okay," I said. "First time at Giovanni's is exciting. Want to know what's really good?" I leaned across the table conspiratorially. "The lasagna is so cheesy it's basically a cheese castle with pasta walls. And the breadsticks? They're unlimited. You can have as many as you want." Lily's eyes went impossibly wider. "Really? As many as I want? As many as you can eat?" You don't have to do that," Sarah said quietly. "We can just order." "Sarah," I interrupted gently, "when's the last time these kids had a good meal?" Her jaw tightened. For a second, I thought she might grab her children and walk out. Instead, she looked down at the table. "Tuesday. We had chicken nuggets and macaroni on Tuesday. Before that, I don't remember." Marcus's hand crept across the table toward his mother's. "Mom works really hard," he said, his 7-year-old voice suddenly defensive. She works 2 jobs. It's not her fault. I'm sure she does, I said, meeting his eyes. Your mom seems like a warrior to me. I'm guessing she'd do anything for you guys, right? He nodded slowly, some of the suspicion fading. The waiter arrived, Tony, who'd served me countless times before. The usual, Jake? Or are we trying something different tonight? Let's start with a double order of breadsticks and the mozzarella sticks for the table, I said. And give us a few minutes with the menu. After Tony left, Sarah finally looked up at me. Why are you doing this? Really? You don't know us. We could be anyone. You could be, I agreed. But you're not. You're a tired mom with 2 hungry kids and a broken-down car, trying to hold everything together. I've been in tough spots before, different spots, but tough nonetheless. Someone helped me. Now I'm helping you. I don't understand people like you, she said, and there was something almost angry in her voice now. People who just do nice things. What do you want? The question hung in the air between us, heavy with implication. I understood immediately. Someone had taught her that kindness always came with a price. Someone had made her believe that help meant debt, that generosity was just another word for control. Nothing, I said firmly. I want nothing except to see your kids smile. That's it. That's the whole transaction. Nobody does something for nothing. I do. My mom did. My grandmother did. It's not that rare, Sarah. You've just been around the wrong people. Tears welled in her eyes again, but she blinked them back furiously. Marcus was watching her with concern, and Lily had started humming softly to Mr. Buns, oblivious to the tension. Tony returned with the breadsticks and mozzarella sticks, and the mood shifted instantly. Both kids stared at the food like it was treasure. Sarah nodded, and they descended on it with the careful enthusiasm of children who'd learned not to take anything for granted. Slowly, Sarah murmured, "Chew your food." As they ate, Sarah finally opened up. The story came in fragments, pieces of a broken life laid out between breadsticks and sips of water. She'd been married to Derek Chen for 8 years. He'd been charming at first, attentive, romantic, everything she'd thought she wanted. But after Marcus was born, things changed. The charm became control. The attention became surveillance. By the time Lily arrived, Derek had isolated Sarah from her friends, her family, and convinced her she was worthless without him. "He never hit me," she said quietly, so the kids wouldn't hear over their excited whispers about cheese. "Not with his fists, anyway. But words can break you just as effectively." By the end, I believed everything he said. That I was stupid. That I was a terrible mother. That no one would ever want me. What changed? I asked. Marcus. She glanced at her son, who was showing Lily how to dip breadstick in marinara sauce. One night, Derek was screaming at me about burning dinner. Marcus stepped between us. 7 years old, and he stepped between us. He said, "Don't talk to my mommy like that." Her voice cracked. Derek pushed him. Not hard, but hard enough. And I saw my baby hit the wall, and something in me just snapped. I grabbed the kids, got in the car, and drove. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have money. I just drove. That was incredibly brave, I said. It was stupid. I had no savings. Derek controlled all the money. I had no place to go. I'd lost touch with everyone. We've been living in a weekly motel, and I've been picking up every nursing shift I can find. But it's not enough. It's never enough. The car breaking down tonight, That was just one more thing in a long list of things I can't fix. But you're here, I pointed out. You're working 2 jobs. Your kids are fed and safe and they clearly adore you. You're not broken, Sarah. You're surviving. There's a difference. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something flicker in those honey-colored eyes. Hope, maybe. Or just the possibility of hope. Why aren't you married? She asked suddenly. You seem like the kind of guy who'd have someone. I laughed. That's a generous assessment. I was engaged, actually. 3 years ago. Stephanie. We'd been together since college, had the whole thing planned. Venue, caterers, honeymoon in Bali. 2 months before the wedding, she sat me down and told me she'd been having an affair with my best friend for over a year. Jake, I'm so sorry. Don't be. In hindsight, she did me a favor. We wanted different things. She wanted the idea of marriage, the wedding, the photos, the social media posts. I wanted a partner. Someone to build a life with. Someone real. And the blind date tonight? My sister's doing. She's convinced I'm going to die alone surrounded by project management software and takeout containers. She set me up with a colleague of hers. But I shrugged. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. Or maybe, Marcus piped up, surprising us both, you were supposed to meet us instead. Sarah flushed. Marcus, that's not appropriate. But it's true, he insisted. Mr. Jake helped us. That's better than a date. Out of the mouths of babes. We ordered dinner, lasagna for Lily, spaghetti and meatballs for Marcus, chicken masala for Sarah, and penne arrabbiata for me. As we ate, the conversation flowed more easily. I learned that Sarah wanted to go back to school to become a full RN. That Marcus loved dinosaurs and wanted to be a paleontologist. That Lily's favorite color was purple and she could recite every word of Frozen. For 2 hours, we weren't strangers brought together by circumstance. We were just people. Sharing a meal. Sharing stories. Sharing something that felt surprisingly like hope. But in the back of my mind, a thought was growing. This couldn't end when dinner did. I couldn't just fix her car and send them back to that weekly motel, back to the knife's edge of survival. Something had to change. I just didn't know what yet. After dinner, after Lily had devoured tiramisu and Marcus had proudly cleaned his plate, earning high fives from Tony, we walked back to Sarah's car. The parking lot was quieter now, just a few stragglers heading to their vehicles. The temperature had dropped, and Sarah pulled her thin cardigan tighter around herself. Let me pop the hood, I said, retrieving the flashlight I kept in my truck. Might be something simple. While I checked under the hood, Sarah stood nearby with the kids. Lily was already drowsy, leaning against her mother's leg, while Marcus tried valiantly to stay alert. When do you have to be at the motel? I asked, checking the coolant reservoir. It was bone dry. We have until Sunday, Sarah said. After that, I'm not sure. My paycheck from the hospital doesn't come until Monday, and the night shift work I've been doing pays cash, but it's not enough for first and last month's rent anywhere. I was about to respond when Lily suddenly shrieked. Mommy! That man is watching us! We all turned. Across the parking lot, partially obscured by a black pickup truck, stood a man. Even in the dim light, I could see he was tall, broad-shouldered, and staring directly at us. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. Sarah went rigid. Her face drained of color, and she grabbed both kids, pulling them behind her. Get in the truck, she whispered urgently. Jake, please, get in your truck now. Who is that? I asked, but I already knew. Derek. My ex-husband. He found us. The man started walking toward us, his pace deliberately slow, predatory. As he got closer, I could see his face, handsome in a harsh way, with cold blue eyes and a smile that held no warmth. "Sarah," he called out, his voice carrying across the lot. "Baby, what are you doing out here? I've been looking everywhere for you." "Stay back, Derek," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "I have a restraining order." He laughed. "A piece of paper? That's cute. Real cute. You know that doesn't mean anything, right?" His eyes flicked to me. "Who's this? Your new boyfriend? That was fast. Guess you're not as broken up about our marriage as you claimed." I stepped forward, positioning myself between Derek and Sarah's family. "The lady asked you to stay back. I suggest you listen." Derek's smile widened. "Or what? You going to stop me from seeing my own kids?" "They're not your kids anymore," Sarah said, finding her voice. "The custody hearing was a joke," Derek interrupted. "Some feminist judge who believed your lies. But we both know the truth, don't we, Sarah? You're nothing without me. You can barely take care of yourself, let alone Marcus and Lily." "That's enough," I said firmly. "You need to leave. Now." Derek took another step forward. He was bigger than me, probably had 30 pounds of muscle on my frame. But I'd spent 3 years training in Krav Maga after the breakup with Stephanie, a way to channel my pain into something productive. I wasn't looking for a fight, but if it came to one, I wouldn't back down. "Make me," Derek said softly. That's when I pulled out my phone and held it up, showing him the screen. "I've been recording since you approached. That's assault, threatening behavior, and violation of a restraining order, all on video. Plus, we're in a restaurant parking lot, which means..." I pointed up at the security camera mounted on the building's corner. "Multiple angles. Want to try for battery charges too? I hear they're really pleasant this time of year." Derek's face darkened. For a second, I thought he might lunge anyway, might decide that hurting us was worth the consequences. Instead, he pointed at Sarah. "This isn't over. You know it isn't. You can run, you can hide behind your new boyfriend and your lawyers, but I will get my family back. That's a promise." "Your family is terrified of you," I said. "That's not love. That's control. And it ends here." Derek glared at me, then at Sarah, before turning and walking back to his truck. He got in, started the engine, and sat there for a full minute, long enough to make his point, before finally driving away. The moment his taillights disappeared, Sarah's legs gave out. I caught her before she hit the ground, and she sobbed into my shoulder while Marcus held onto her leg and Lily cried into Mr. Buns. "He found us," Sarah gasped. "He found us. How did he find us?" That's when I saw it, a small magnetic GPS tracker attached to the underside of her rear bumper. Derek must have planted it weeks ago, tracking her every movement. "Sarah," I said gently, showing her the device. "He's been following you with this. But not anymore." I crushed it under my heel. "You're not going back to that motel," I continued. "Pack your things tonight, and tomorrow we're finding you somewhere safe. A place he can't track, can't find, can't touch you. I can't afford." "I know someone," I interrupted. "My sister's best friend runs a women's shelter. It's discreet, secure, and they have resources, legal aid, job placement, housing assistance. You're not alone anymore, Sarah. Not if you don't want to be." She pulled back, looking at me with those red-rimmed eyes. "Why are you doing this?" Because it's the right thing to do. Because your kids deserve safety. Because you deserve better than living in fear. I paused. And because maybe, just maybe, I was supposed to be in this parking lot tonight. Maybe my blind date cancelled for a reason. Marcus tugged on my sleeve. Are you going to be our friend? Yeah, buddy, I said, ruffling his hair. I'm going to be your friend. What I didn't say, what I couldn't say yet, was that I was already feeling something more than friendship. Something that terrified and exhilarated me in equal measure. But first things first, we needed to get this family to safety. And then I needed to figure out how to make sure Derek Chen could never hurt them again. My apartment was 20 minutes away, a modest 2-bedroom place in a gated complex with security cameras and a key-card entry system. It wasn't much, but it was safe, and that's all that mattered as I led Sarah and her exhausted children through the lobby at 11 p.m. Jake, we can't impose like this, Sarah protested for the 10th time, but there was no strength left in her objections. The encounter with Derek had drained what little energy she had remaining. You're not imposing. Marcus and Lily can sleep in the guest room. It's got a queen bed and I can make up the couch with blankets for a makeshift kids' fort if they'd prefer. You can take my room, and I'll sleep on the couch. I'm not taking your bed. Sarah, I said, stopping outside my door. You're taking the bed. Please. Just, let someone help you. Just for tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure everything else out. She finally nodded, too tired to argue anymore. Inside, I gave them the quick tour. Marcus and Lily were practically asleep on their feet. I found some extra t-shirts that would work as pajamas, an old college shirt for Marcus and a soft flannel for Lily. Sarah helped them brush their teeth with spare toothbrushes I kept for guests, and within 15 minutes, both kids were passed out in the guest bed, Lily clutching Mr. Buns and Marcus's arm protectively around his sister. Sarah stood in the doorway, watching them sleep, tears streaming silently down her face. They are safe, I said quietly. The building has security. Derek doesn't know you're here. They can just be kids tonight. No fear. No hunger. Just sleep. She turned to me, and before I could react, she wrapped her arms around me and cried into my chest, great, heaving sobs of relief and exhaustion and terror released. I held her, one hand on her back, letting her break apart in the safety of someone else's strength. When she finally pulled back, she looked embarrassed. I'm sorry. I'm not usually this much of a mess. Sarah, you were confronted by your abusive ex-husband in a parking lot while trying to feed your kids. I think you're entitled to be a mess. She laughed despite herself, a small, broken sound. You're very kind. Stupidly kind. Don't you know kindness is dangerous? Only to the people who deserve it, I said. Come on. Let me make you some tea. In the kitchen, I put the kettle on while Sarah sat at the breakfast bar, looking around like she couldn't quite believe where she was. My apartment was clean but lived in, books stacked on shelves, a few framed photos of family and friends, a bulletin board covered with project timelines and sticky notes. You're organized, she observed. Occupational hazard. I manage construction projects. If I'm not organized, buildings don't get built. Must be nice. Having everything in its place. Having control. Is it? I handed her a mug of chamomile tea. I don't know. Sometimes I think I organize everything external because I can't organize what's internal. Does that make sense? She smiled, her first real smile of the night. Perfect sense. We talked for another hour, sitting in my kitchen while the city lights twinkled through the windows. She told me more about her life, how she dreamed of being a nurse since she was 10, How meeting Derek had derailed everything, how she'd slowly lost pieces of herself until she barely recognized the woman in the mirror. "But you left," I said. "That took incredible courage. Or incredible stupidity. I'm not sure which yet." "Courage," I insisted. "Definitely courage. Stupid would have been staying." "My mother stayed," Sarah said quietly. "With my father. He was a lot like Derek, controlling, manipulative, verbally abusive. She stayed until the day he died. Told me I should do the same. Said marriage was forever, no matter what." "Your mother was wrong. I know that now. But for years." She shook her head. "It's hard to unlearn what you're taught as a child. Hard to believe you deserve better when everyone's telling you that you don't." "You deserve everything good in this world," I said, and I meant it. "You and Marcus and Lily. You deserve safety and stability and joy. You deserve someone who builds you up instead of tearing you down." She looked at me over the rim of her mug. "Are you always this direct?" "Only when it matters." Something passed between us then, a moment of connection that felt electric and terrifying. I looked away first, clearing my throat. "You should get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be busy. We need to get your car fixed, contact that shelter I mentioned, and maybe talk to a lawyer about strengthening that restraining order." "Jake," she said softly, "thank you. For everything. For dinner, for protecting us, for this. I don't know how I'll ever repay you." "You don't have to repay me. Just promise me you'll let me help. Promise me you won't disappear tomorrow and try to handle everything alone." She hesitated, then nodded. "I promise." I showed her to my bedroom, gave her some clean towels and another t-shirt to sleep in, and said goodnight. On the couch, wrapped in a spare blanket, I stared at the ceiling and tried to process everything that had happened in the past 6 hours. I'd walked into that parking lot expecting nothing but disappointment. Instead, I'd found a family that needed help and a woman who'd awakened something in me I thought had died 3 years ago. Not just attraction, though there was that, undeniably, but purpose. The sense that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister, Emma. "How'd the blind date go?" I typed back, "She cancelled. But I think I found something better." Emma's response was immediate. "Long story. Tell you tomorrow." As I drifted off to sleep, I heard soft footsteps. I opened my eyes to find Marcus standing near the couch, clutching a glass of water. "Hey, buddy," I whispered. "Everything okay?" "Is my mom safe here?" he asked, his voice small. "The safest, I promised. I won't let anyone hurt your family. Ever." He studied me with those serious 7-year-old eyes. Then he nodded, apparently satisfied, and padded back to the guest room. I fell asleep smiling, unaware that Derek Chen was sitting in his truck 3 blocks away, watching the security footage from the parking lot on his phone, memorizing my face and license plate number. Unaware that the real battle hadn't even begun yet. Saturday morning arrived with autumn sunshine and the smell of pancakes. I'd gotten up early, determined to give Marcus and Lily a breakfast worth remembering. The kids emerged from the guest room looking rumpled and confused, like they couldn't quite believe they'd slept through the night without fear. "Are those dinosaur pancakes?" Marcus gasped, staring at my attempts at prehistoric shapes. "They're supposed to be," I said. "Though this one looks more like a blob with legs. We'll call him a Blobosaurus." Lily giggled, climbing onto a bar stool. "You're silly, Mr. Jake." "Just Jake is fine. The Mr. makes me feel old." Sarah emerged last, wearing the t-shirt I'd given her, an old marathon shirt that hung nearly to her knees, and looking more rested than she had the night before. Her hair was damp from the shower, and without the makeup she'd worn yesterday, I could see a faint scar above her left eyebrow. Another gift from Derek, I suspected. You didn't have to do all this, she said, taking in the spread, pancakes, fruit, orange juice, scrambled eggs. I wanted to. Besides, I'm showing off. I only cook breakfast on Saturdays, so you're getting the full performance. Over breakfast, I laid out the plan. First, we're going to get your car towed to a mechanic I trust, a guy named Tommy who owes me a favor. He'll fix it for cost of parts, no labor charge. Then we're going to see my sister. Your sister? Emma's a family law attorney. She specializes in domestic violence cases. She'll help us strengthen your restraining order and possibly file for emergency custody protection. After that, we'll visit the shelter I mentioned. Jake, I can't afford an attorney. Emma will do it pro bono. Before you argue, she already said yes when I texted her this morning. She wants to help. Sarah's eyes filled with tears again. Why are people I just met being kinder to me than my own family? Maybe because they're not really your family, Marcus said, shoveling pancakes into his mouth. Not the good kind anyway. Mom's mom is mean. Marcus, Sarah said sharply. But she is. She made you cry on the phone and said you were being dramatic about Dad. The pain that flashed across Sarah's face told me Marcus wasn't wrong. Some people, I thought bitterly, don't deserve the title of family. We spent the morning executing the plan. Tommy, a burly mechanic who looked like he could bench press a car, took one look at Sarah's Honda and shook his head. Radiator's cracked, and you need a new water pump. Parts alone are gonna be about $350. But Jake says you're good people, so I'll get it done for cost. I don't have $350, Sarah whispered. I do, I said. We'll work out a payment plan later. No interest, no pressure. Just pay me back when you can. Jake. Sarah, we're past the arguing stage. Just say thank you and let me help. She bit her lip, then nodded. Thank you. For all of it. My sister's law office was downtown, a sleek modern building that probably cost more per square foot than my entire apartment. Emma met us in the lobby, and I saw Sarah's eyes widen. My sister was everything I wasn't, polished, confident, with the kind of presence that made people straighten their posture. You must be Sarah, Emma said, shaking her hand warmly. Jake told me some of what you're going through. I want you to know that you're in good hands now. We're going to make sure Derek can't hurt you or your children again. In Emma's conference room, with Marcus and Lily distracted by coloring books a paralegal brought out, Sarah told her story again. Emma took notes, asked pointed questions, and occasionally glanced at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. The restraining order you have is good, Emma said finally. But we can make it better. I'm going to file for an emergency protective order with teeth, one that includes GPS monitoring for Derek if he violates it. We'll also petition for full custody with supervised visitation only, pending a psych evaluation. He'll fight it, Sarah said. He'll say I'm making it all up, that I'm unstable. Let him. We have the hospital records from when Marcus was accidentally pushed into the wall. We have your testimony. And we have witnesses who'll testify to his controlling behavior. Plus, Emma smiled coldly, we have that parking lot footage from last night. Jake was smart to record it. For the first time since I'd met her, Sarah looked hopeful. The shelter visit came next. It was a nondescript building in a residential neighborhood, designed to blend in. Inside, it was warm and welcoming. a place where broken things came to heal. The director, Maria, showed us around while Marcus and Lily explored the playroom. "We have space available in our family wing," Maria said. "You'd have your own 2-bedroom unit with a kitchenette. Meals are provided 3 times a day if needed, and we have childcare services so you can work or attend job training. Most families stay 3 to 6 months while they get back on their feet." "I can't afford," Sarah started. "It's free," Maria interrupted gently. "Funded by donations and grants. The only thing we ask is that you work with our counselors and follow the rules. No visitors without clearance, no sharing your location, and attendance at our weekly support groups." Sarah looked overwhelmed. "This is too much. Too good." "It's what you deserve," Maria said firmly. "Women like you, survivors, you're the strongest people I know. You just need a little support to remember that." By the time we left the shelter, having filled out paperwork and scheduled Sarah's move-in for Monday, it was late afternoon. We picked up the kids from Emma's office where they'd been contentedly coloring, and headed back to my apartment. "Can we watch a movie?" Lily asked hopefully. "Mom never has time for movies anymore." Sarah winced, but I jumped in. "Absolutely. What's your favorite?" "Frozen." "Obviously," I said with mock seriousness. Any other answer would be unacceptable. Back at my place, I set the kids up with the movie while Sarah and I stood in the kitchen. She leaned against the counter, looking drained but lighter somehow, as if a weight had been lifted. "I can't believe everything you've done in 24 hours, she said. "Yesterday morning, I didn't know you existed. Now you've fed my kids, protected us from Derek, fixed my car, got me a lawyer and a place to live. It doesn't feel real." "It's real," I assured her. "And it's just the beginning. You're going to get through this, Sarah. You're going to rebuild your life, finish your nursing degree, and give those kids everything they deserve." "I want to believe that." "Then believe it." "I do." She looked at me for a long moment. "Can I ask you something? And I want an honest answer." "Of course." "Why are you really doing this?" "Because I've been thinking about it all day, and I can't figure it out. You're attractive, successful, clearly kind. You could be doing anything with your weekend. So why are you spending it with a broke single mother and her traumatized kids?" I considered the question. Considered lying or deflecting. But Sarah deserved honesty. "When Stephanie left me," I said slowly, "I was devastated. Not just because she cheated, but because I realized I'd spent years building a life with someone who didn't actually care about me. She cared about what I could provide, the image, the security, the lifestyle. When I stopped being useful for her story, she moved on." I paused, gathering my thoughts. After that, I threw myself into work. Dated occasionally, but never let anyone get close. Told myself I was protecting myself from getting hurt again. But really? I was just numb. Going through motions. And then yesterday, standing in that parking lot, hearing your son say we're not that hungry. My voice caught. Something woke up. I realized I'd been sleepwalking through life, and here was this woman, this warrior, fighting with everything she had for her kids. And I thought, this is what matters. This is what real love looks like. Not the Instagram perfect version Stephanie wanted. Real, messy, courageous love. Sarah's eyes glistened. "Jake. I'm not saying I'm in love with you," I added quickly. "We barely know each other. But I am saying that for the first time in 3 years, I feel like I'm doing something that matters. And maybe I'm also hoping that if I help you find your way back to yourself, I might find my way back to myself too. She reached across the space between us and took my hand. Thank you for your honesty. And for the record? I think you're already yourself. The best version of yourself. From the living room, Lily's voice rang out, "Let it go. Let it go." We both laughed, the tension breaking. "Come on," I said. "We're missing the best part." We joined the kids on the couch, and somewhere during "Do you want to build a snowman?" Lily curled up against my side while Marcus leaned on his mother. It felt natural. It felt like family. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, it felt like home. But outside, in the parking lot of my building, Derek Chen sat in his truck, watching the lit windows of my apartment, his jaw clenched with rage. He'd spent the day making calls, pulling strings, finding information. He knew where I worked now. Knew where Sarah was staying. Knew that I was the obstacle between him and his family. And Derek Chen did not like obstacles. His phone rang. "Yeah?" he answered. "Found something interesting," a voice said. "Your guy, Jake Morrison? He's got a sister who's a lawyer. She filed emergency custody paperwork this morning. Hearings scheduled for Wednesday." Derek's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Where?" "Downtown courthouse. Room 4B. 9 a.m. "Perfect," Derek said softly. "Thanks, Tony." He hung up and stared at my apartment window for another hour, planning. Sarah thought she was safe. She thought some nobody project manager and a piece of paper could protect her from him. She was about to learn exactly how wrong she was. Sunday was deceptively peaceful. We spent the morning at a nearby park, me pushing Lily on the swings while Marcus showed Sarah the dinosaur eggs, rocks, he'd found near the playground equipment. For a few hours, we were just people enjoying an autumn day, not a family in crisis. "Higher!" Lily shrieked, her laughter echoing across the park. "Any higher and you'll achieve orbit," I called back, but pushed her swing harder anyway. Sarah sat on a bench nearby, her face tilted toward the sun. She looked younger like this, without the weight of fear pressing down on her. Beautiful, I realized. Not in the polished way Stephanie had been beautiful, but in a real, lived-in way that made my chest ache. "Jake!" Marcus ran up, breathless. "Can we get ice cream? Please?" I looked at Sarah, who started to protest about money, but I cut her off. Ice cream is scientifically proven to be free on Sundays. It's a law. "That's not a real law," Marcus said skeptically. "Are you willing to risk it?" We ended up at a small ice cream shop 2 blocks from the park. Lily got chocolate with sprinkles, Marcus chose mint chip, Sarah ordered vanilla, and I got my usual coffee with caramel. We sat at a picnic table outside, watching people pass by. "I've been thinking," Sarah said, using her spoon to create careful patterns in her ice cream. "About after we move into the shelter. About what comes next." "What are you thinking?" "I want to go back to school. Finish my RN degree. I only had a year left when I dropped out to have Marcus." She glanced at her son. "Not that I regret that. But I need to finish. I need a real career, not just survival jobs." "That's a great goal," I said. "The shelter has resources for that, right?" "They do. Childcare assistance, flexible scheduling support, even some scholarship programs." She took a bite of ice cream. "But it's scary. I haven't been in a classroom in 8 years. What if I can't do it?" "Then you'll try again," I said simply. "Sarah, you survived Derek. You escaped with 2 kids and nothing but your car. You've been working 2 jobs while keeping your children fed and safe. School is going to be easy compared to what you've already done. Marcus nodded seriously. Mom's the smartest person I know. She helps me with my homework and she knows everything. Everything except why dinosaurs didn't survive the asteroid, Sarah teased, ruffling his hair. Nobody knows that for sure. Marcus protested. Scientists have theories. Watching them together, the easy affection, the gentle teasing, I felt something shift in my chest. This wasn't just about helping anymore. This was about being part of something. Being part of them. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma, need to talk. Call me when you can. I excused myself and walked a few steps away, dialing my sister. What's wrong? I asked immediately. Maybe nothing. Maybe something. Emma's voice was tight. Derek filed a counterpetition this morning. He's claiming you and Sarah are in a relationship and that you're trying to alienate him from his children. He's demanding immediate visitation and questioning Sarah's mental stability. That's insane. We barely know each other. Doesn't matter. He's creating a narrative. And Jake? She paused. He's also filed a police report claiming you assaulted him in the parking lot Friday night. My blood ran cold. That's a lie. I never touched him. I know. And we have video proof of that. But it means he's playing dirty. Dirtier than I expected. Wednesday's hearing is going to be ugly. Can we win? Yes, Emma said firmly. But you need to be prepared. Derek's going to paint you as the villain, some predator who swooped in to steal his family. He'll play the victimized father, and he'll make Sarah look unstable for bringing a stranger around his kids. What do we do? Stick to the truth. Document everything. And Jake? Maybe keep some distance from Sarah until after the hearing. I know that sounds harsh, but... No, I interrupted. Emma, they're moving into the shelter tomorrow. Sarah has court Wednesday. I'm not abandoning them just because Derek's playing games. I'm not asking you to abandon them. I'm asking you to be strategic. I'll be careful. But I won't disappear. Emma sighed. You're falling for her, aren't you? I don't know what I'm doing, I admitted. But I know walking away would be wrong. Just be careful, little brother. Guys like Derek don't give up easily. After I hung up, I returned to find Sarah watching me with concern. Bad news. Derek filed some legal paperwork. Emma's handling it. It's going to be fine. It's not fine if he's coming after you too. Jake, maybe I should. Don't, I interrupted. Whatever you're about to say, don't. We're seeing this through. Together. She searched my face, then nodded slowly. Together. We spent the rest of the afternoon at my apartment. I helped Marcus with a school project about the solar system while Sarah and Lily worked on a drawing, a picture of a house with 4 stick figures standing in front. When Lily showed it to me proudly, I saw that she'd labeled us, Mama, Marcus, Lily, and Jake. That's beautiful, I said, my throat tight. It's our family, Lily said matter-of-factly. You're part of our family now. I glanced at Sarah, expecting her to correct her daughter, but she just smiled softly and looked away. That evening, we ordered pizza and played board games. Marcus won at 3 times, crowing with victory each time. Lily fell asleep during the second movie of the day, and Marcus lasted until 9 p.m. before his eyes started closing. After we'd tucked the kids in, Sarah and I sat on the balcony, looking out at the city lights. The temperature had dropped, and she wrapped herself in a blanket I'd brought out. Tomorrow's going to be hard, she said quietly. Moving into the shelter, officially accepting that this is our life now. It's not your life forever, I reminded her. It's a stepping stone. 6 months from now, you'll be somewhere completely different. Somewhere better. Will you still be there? She asked, not looking at me. 6 months from now. The question hung in the air between us. I could have deflected. Could have made a joke. Instead, I told the truth. I hope so. She turned to face me then, and in the dim light from inside, I could see tears on her cheeks. I'm scared, Jake. Scared of Derek, scared of the hearing, scared of failing my kids. But I'm also scared of this. Of whatever is happening between us. Because I can't afford to be wrong about someone again. I know. Do you? Do you know what it's like to trust someone completely, to build your entire life around them, only to discover they are slowly destroying you? Do you know what it's like to look at yourself in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back? No, I admitted. I don't. My heartbreak was different. But Sarah, I promise you this, I will never try to change you. I will never try to control you. And I will never make you feel like you're anything less than extraordinary. How can you promise that? You barely know me. Because I see you, I said simply. The real you. The strong, brave, loving woman who fights for her children every single day. That's who you are. And that's who I want to know better. She was crying openly now. I don't want to fall for you. Why not? Because I'm broken. Because I have 2 kids and an abusive ex and no money and a mountain of trauma to work through. You deserve someone whole. Someone easy. Sarah, I said, reaching for her hand. You're not broken. You're healing. There's a difference. And I don't want easy. I want real. I want you. She shook her head. We've known each other for 48 hours. I know. This is crazy. I know that too. We should be logical. Sensible. Take things slow. Probably, I agreed. She looked at me for a long moment, then leaned forward and kissed me. It was soft, tentative, tasting of salt from her tears. When she pulled back, she was smiling through the tears. I'm still terrified, she whispered. Me too. But maybe we can be terrified together. I'd like that. We sat there on the balcony until the city quieted and the temperature dropped low enough that even the blanket wasn't enough. Inside, we said goodnight at my bedroom door, Sarah to my room, me to the couch. But as I lay in the darkness, listening to the sounds of the people who'd somehow become my family sleeping soundly, I couldn't help but feel like everything had changed. What I didn't know, what none of us knew, was that Derek had spent his evening differently. He'd spent it planning, watching, and waiting for his moment to strike. Because men like Derek don't just walk away. They burn everything down instead. Monday morning arrived with grey skies and the promise of rain. We packed up the few belongings Sarah and the kids had at the motel, clothes, toiletries, some toys for the kids, and one photograph of Sarah with her grandmother, the only family member who'd ever shown her kindness. The shelter looked even more welcoming in daylight. Maria greeted us warmly and showed Sarah and the kids to their new 2-bedroom unit. It was small but clean, with donated furniture and cheerful yellow walls. Lily immediately claimed the top bunk, and Marcus carefully arranged his dinosaur collection on the bookshelf. This is ours? Lily asked, wonder in her voice. Really ours? Really yours, Maria confirmed. For as long as you need it. I helped Sarah unpack while Marcus and Lily explored the building with another staff member. In the quiet of the unit, Sarah suddenly sat down on the bed and started crying. "Hey," I said, sitting beside her. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. That's the problem." She wiped her eyes, laughing through tears. "For 2 years, I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop. For something bad to happen. And now I'm in a safe place with my kids, and I have a lawyer, and my car is getting fixed, and—" She looked at me. "And I have you. It feels too good. Like it can't be real." "It's real," I promised. "This is what life is supposed to feel like. Not the fear you've been living with." She squeezed my hand. "Thank you. For everything. For being the person who stopped in that parking lot." Before I could respond, Maria knocked on the open door. "Sarah? There's a Detective Williams here. He says he needs to speak with you about your restraining order violation report from Friday." Sarah's face paled. "Did something happen?" We followed Maria to the office, where a middle-aged detective with kind eyes and a notepad waited. "Miss Chen, I'm sorry to bother you, but I need to get your statement about the incident on Friday evening. We also have some questions about Derek Chen's counterclaim." "Counterclaim?" Sarah asked. "His saying that Mr. Morrison here assaulted him and that you fabricated the harassment claim." The detective looked at me. "His pressing charges for assault." "That's a lie," I said immediately. "I have video evidence." "I've seen it," the detective interrupted. "And so has the DA. The charges against you are being dropped. The video clearly shows you never made physical contact with Mr. Chen. But I needed to come talk to Ms. Chen anyway, because—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Because Derek Chen is dangerous. His record shows 2 prior domestic violence charges that were dropped, and our department has been watching him for months. We think he's escalating." "What does that mean?" Sarah asked, her voice barely a whisper. "It means you did the right thing leaving. It means you need to be very careful. And it means—" The detective pulled out a business card. "It means if he contacts you, violates the restraining order, or makes any threats, you call me immediately. Not 911. Me directly. I'll make sure units are dispatched fast." After the detective left, Sarah sat in stunned silence. "He's going to keep coming, isn't he? Derek. He's never going to stop." "Not until he's forced to," I said grimly. That night, I went home alone for the first time since Friday. My apartment felt too big, too empty. I tried to work, to distract myself with project timelines and budget reports, but all I could think about was Sarah and the kids. About the hearing on Wednesday. About Derek's cold blue eyes in that parking lot. At midnight, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello. Stay away from my family." Derek's voice was calm, conversational even, which somehow made it more frightening. "I don't know what you think you're doing, playing hero, but Sarah is my wife. Those are my kids. And you're a problem I intend to solve. She's not your wife anymore. And those kids are terrified of you. They're confused. You've confused them. But I'll fix that. Wednesday, I'm going to walk into that courthouse, and I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to destroy Sarah. And then I'm going to get my family back. The only thing you're going to get is jail time for violating the restraining order." Derek laughed. "You think I'm calling from my phone? You think I'm that stupid? There's no trace, no proof. This conversation never happened. But Wednesday will happen. And you're going to wish you'd stayed in your lane." The line went dead. I immediately called Detective Williams, left a detailed voicemail about the threat, then texted Emma. She called back within minutes. "He's trying to intimidate you," she said. "Don't let him." "Emma, what if we lose on Wednesday?" "We won't. Trust me, Jake. I've been doing this for 15 years. Derek's type, they think they're smarter than everyone else. But he's made mistakes. He violated the restraining order on camera. He filed false police reports. He's creating his own paper trail. All we have to do is present the facts. And if that's not enough..." My sister was quiet for a moment. "Then we appeal. We fight harder. But Jake? It will be enough. Sarah's going to win. Her kids are going to be safe. And you..." She paused. "You're going to have to decide how deep into this you're willing to go." "What do you mean?" "I mean, this isn't a weekend project anymore. This is a commitment. If you're going to be part of Sarah's life, part of her kids' lives, you're signing up for the long haul. The therapy, the legal battles, the nightmares, all of it. Are you ready for that?" I didn't hesitate. "Yes." "Then get some sleep. Wednesday's going to be a long day." But I didn't sleep. I lay awake until dawn, thinking about a parking lot and a crying woman and 2 hungry kids. Thinking about how one cancelled blind date had led me here, to the edge of something that felt like purpose. Like destiny. And I thought about Derek Chen's threat, echoing in my mind, "You're going to wish you'd stayed in your lane." Maybe. But I'd never been good at staying in my lane anyway. Chapter 8. The Courthouse. Wednesday morning arrived cold and clear. I picked up Sarah at 7 a.m. She'd spent Tuesday preparing with Emma, reviewing testimony, practicing staying calm under pressure. She wore a borrowed suit from the shelter's clothing closet, navy blue and professional, her hair pulled back in a neat bun. She looked strong. Composed. Nothing like the broken woman crying in a parking lot 5 days ago. "Ready?" I asked. "No. But let's do it anyway." The courthouse was downtown, an imposing granite building with marble floors and the echo of decades of justice. Emma met us outside courtroom 4B, her expression serious. "Derek's already here," she said quietly. "He's got a lawyer, Gordon Matthews. He's good, and he's expensive. I don't know how Derek's affording him." "What's the strategy?" I asked. "Truth. Evidence. And keeping our cool no matter what they throw at us." Emma looked at Sarah. "He's going to try to rattle you. He's going to try to make you seem unstable, vindictive, like you're keeping his kids from him for no reason. Don't take the bait. Just answer the questions honestly and calmly." "I can do that," Sarah said, but I could see her hands shaking. Inside the courtroom, I saw Derek for the first time since Friday night. He sat at the defendant's table, wearing an expensive suit and an expression of wounded righteousness. When his eyes met mine, he smiled, a cold, predatory smile that made my skin crawl. Judge Catherine Morrison, no relation, Emma had checked, took the bench at exactly 9 a.m. She was a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and a reputation for not tolerating nonsense. "This is a hearing regarding the emergency protective order filed by Sarah Chen against Derek Chen," she began. "Mr. Matthews, your client has filed a counterpetition claiming Ms. Chen is making false allegations and that a third party," she glanced at me, "Mr. Jake Morrison, is improperly influencing her and the children. Let's start with Ms. Chen's petition." "Ms. Logan?" Emma stood. "Your Honor, my client fled an abusive marriage 2 months ago. In that time, Mr. Derek Chen has violated the temporary restraining order multiple times, including a documented incident last Friday where he confronted Ms. Chen in a restaurant parking lot, threatened her, and refused to leave despite being asked repeatedly. We have video evidence of this incident. Objection, Derek's lawyer stood. The video shows my client attempting to have a conversation with his wife and children. Mr. Morrison escalated the situation with threats and... I've reviewed the video, Judge Morrison interrupted. Mr. Chen clearly violated the temporary restraining order. That's established. The question is whether we make it permanent and what conditions to attach. Continue, Ms. Logan. For the next hour, Emma presented evidence, medical records showing Marcus's accidental injury, testimony from Sarah's co-workers about her appearing with bruises, text messages from Derek that ranged from manipulative to openly threatening. Sarah took the stand and testified calmly, her voice only breaking when she described Marcus stepping between her and Derek that final night. Then it was Derek's turn. He took the stand with the confident air of someone who believed he'd already won. His lawyer led him through a carefully crafted narrative. He was a devoted father whose wife had become unstable after Lily's birth. He tried to help, tried to support her, but she'd refused treatment for postpartum depression. When he'd attempted to discuss it, she'd fled with the children. I love my kids, Derek said, his voice thick with emotion. I just want to see them. To be part of their lives. Instead, Sarah has brought this stranger into their lives, a man they've known for less than a week, and she's using him to keep me away from my own children. Mr. Matthews, Judge Morrison said. Are you claiming Mr. Morrison is a danger to the children? I'm claiming he's an unknown quantity who has insinuated himself into a vulnerable situation. We don't know his intentions. We don't know. Actually, Emma interrupted, standing. We do know. Mr. Morrison underwent a full background check Monday at the shelter where Ms. Chen is staying. Clean record, stable employment, no history of violence or criminal activity. Unlike Mr. Chen, who has 2 prior domestic violence allegations and a recent restraining order violation. Those charges were dropped, Matthews shot back. Because the victims were too frightened to testify, Emma countered. A pattern we're seeing repeated here. That's speculation. Your Honor, Emma said firmly. May I present one additional piece of evidence? She handed the bailiff a tablet, and a video played on the courtroom screen. It was security footage from my apartment building, dated Monday night, after I'd left the shelter. In it, Derek was clearly visible, trying to tailgate another resident through the security gate. When that didn't work, he'd waited outside for 20 minutes before leaving. Mr. Chen, Judge Morrison said coldly. Were you at Mr. Morrison's residence Monday evening? Derek's lawyer whispered something to him. Derek's jaw clenched. I was trying to find Sarah. To talk to her. You knew she wasn't there. You were stalking Mr. Morrison, violating your restraining order in the process. The judge looked at Emma. I've seen enough. Here's my ruling. The protective order is made permanent with the following conditions. Mr. Chen is to have no contact with Ms. Chen or the children except through supervised visitation, 1 hour per week, at a court-approved facility. He must complete a domestic violence intervention program and undergo a psychological evaluation before any change to this arrangement will be considered. He is also ordered to stay at least 500 feet away from Ms. Chen's residence, workplace, and, she looked at me, from Mr. Morrison. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. Your Honor, Matthews protested, that's extremely. It's appropriate given Mr. Chen's behavior. This hearing is adjourned. Derek stood so fast his chair fell over. His face was red, twisted with rage. This isn't over, he said, looking directly at Sarah. You think you've won? You've just made everything worse. For all of you. Mr. Chen, Judge Morrison snapped. One more outburst and you'll be held in contempt. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Chen from the courtroom. As Derek was led out, still glaring at us, Sarah collapsed against me, sobbing with relief. Emma gathered her papers, looking satisfied but not triumphant. You won, I told Sarah. It's over. But even as I said it, I saw Emma's expression and knew what she was thinking. It wasn't over. Not for men like Derek. Not by a long shot. We'd won the battle. The war was just beginning. The rest of Wednesday passed in a blur. We celebrated quietly, Emma treated us to lunch, and Sarah called Marcus and Lily at the shelter to tell them the good news. The kids' excited screams through the phone made everyone at our table smile. Does this mean Daddy can't come to our house? Marcus asked, his voice hopeful and heartbreaking at once. Yes, baby, Sarah said. You're safe now. We're all safe. After lunch, I drove Sarah back to the shelter. In the parking lot, she turned to me, her eyes still red but clear for the first time since I'd met her. I don't know how to thank you, she said. You and Emma, you gave me my life back. You did that yourself. We just helped with the paperwork. She laughed, then leaned over and kissed me, longer than the first kiss on my balcony, deeper. When she pulled back, she was smiling. I know this is complicated. I know we haven't known each other long. But I'd like to. I mean, if you want to. Sarah Chen, are you asking me on a date? Maybe? Is that crazy? I just got out of an abusive marriage, I have 2 kids, I'm living in a shelter. It's not crazy, I interrupted. And yes. Absolutely yes. Okay. Good. She bit her lip. But Jake? I need to go slow. Really slow. I need time to heal, to figure out who I am without Derek's voice in my head. Can you be patient with that? I can be patient for as long as you need. Over the next 6 weeks, we built something neither of us had expected. Sarah threw herself into healing, individual therapy 3 times a week, group counseling at the shelter, and slowly, carefully, starting to believe she deserved good things. She enrolled in nursing classes for the spring semester, taking just 2 courses to start while working part-time at a medical clinic. Marcus and Lily thrived in the safety of the shelter. Marcus's nightmares decreased from every night to once or twice a week. Lily stopped flinching when adults raised their voices. They made friends with other kids in the family wing, played in the shelter's playground, and slowly started acting like kids instead of trauma survivors. I visited them 3 times a week, Sundays for our now traditional park and ice cream routine, Wednesdays for dinner and homework help, and Saturdays for adventures. We went to museums, the zoo, a pumpkin patch where Lily found the perfect pumpkin, which weighed almost as much as she did, and a science center where Marcus spent 2 hours in the dinosaur exhibit. On Halloween, I took them trick-or-treating in my neighborhood while Sarah worked a shift. Marcus was a T-Rex, Lily was a fairy princess, and I was, according to Lily, just Jake in a silly hat. I'd worn a wizard costume, thank you very much. But mostly, we just spent time together. Building trust. Building friendship. Building the foundation of something that felt like family. Sarah and I had our first official date in late November, dinner at Giovanni's, where it all started. Maria sat at our old table, beaming at us like a proud mother. You two are my favorite love story, she declared, bringing us complimentary tiramisu. Better than the movies. We're not, Sarah started, then stopped and looked at me. Actually, maybe we are. Maybe we are, I agreed. That night, walking Sarah back to her car, now fully repaired and running smoothly, she told me about her first therapy session after the hearing. "My therapist asked me what I wanted from life now that I was free," Sarah said. "And you know what I realized? For years, my only goal was survival. Just make it through one more day. But now I get to have actual dreams again." "What are your dreams?" "Finish nursing school. Give my kids a stable home. Maybe—" she hesitated. "Maybe eventually fall in love with someone who sees me as an equal partner. Someone who makes me laugh. Someone who understands that love shouldn't hurt." "That sounds like a good dream." She stopped walking and turned to face me. "Jake, I'm falling in love with you. I'm terrified of it, and I'm probably not ready for it, but it's happening anyway. And I needed you to know that." My heart felt too big for my chest. "Sarah, I fell in love with you in a parking lot 5 minutes after meeting you. I've just been waiting for you to catch up." She laughed, tears streaming down her face. "That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me." "Get used to it. I'm very romantic. You wore a dinosaur costume to a company Halloween party because Marcus asked you to." I stand by my statement. We kissed under the streetlights, and for the first time in either of our lives, it felt like everything was exactly as it should be. But happy endings don't come without one final test. And ours was waiting just around the corner. The call came at 2 in the morning on a Tuesday in early December. I woke to my phone ringing, Sarah's name flashing on the screen. "Jake." Her voice was panicked. "Derek's here. At the shelter. He's outside, banging on the door, screaming. Security called the police, but I'm on my way. Stay inside. Don't go near the windows." I threw on clothes and drove faster than I should have, calling Detective Williams on the way. He answered immediately. Apparently, he'd already been notified. "Units are en route," he said. "Stay back, Jake. Let us handle this." But I couldn't stay back. Sarah and the kids needed me. I arrived to find 3 police cars already there, lights flashing. Derek was in handcuffs, still screaming as officers loaded him into a squad car. "You can't keep them from me. They're mine. Mine." Detective Williams met me in the parking lot. He's drunk. Showed up with a baseball bat, threatening to break down the door if Sarah didn't come out. "We're charging him with violating the protective order, criminal threats, attempted breaking and entering, and public intoxication." "Will it stick this time?" With witnesses from the shelter, security footage, and his previous violations? "Yeah. It'll stick. He's looking at minimum 2 years. Inside, I found Sarah sitting with Maria in the office, Marcus and Lily pressed against her sides. All 3 were crying. When Sarah saw me, she launched herself into my arms. I was so scared. The kids heard him screaming my name, Jake. They heard him. "I know. But he's gone now. He can't hurt you anymore." Marcus looked up at me with his serious 7-year-old eyes. "Is it really over?" "Yeah, buddy," I said, kneeling down to his level. "It's really over." "Good," he said firmly. "Because you're a way better dad than he ever was." The room went silent. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth, and I felt my throat tighten. Marcus looked between us, suddenly uncertain. "I mean, if that's okay to say. I know you're not really our dad, but—" "Marcus," I said, my voice rough with emotion. "That's the greatest thing anyone has ever said to me." Lily tugged on my sleeve. "Does this mean you'll stay forever? Because I made you a drawing at school and it says my family And you're in it with a cape because you're a superhero. I looked at Sarah, who was crying and smiling at the same time. Can I stay forever? I asked her. I think you already are, she whispered. The house wasn't much, a small 3-bedroom rental in a quiet neighborhood with a fenced backyard and a tree perfect for climbing. But to Sarah, Marcus, Lily, and me, it was everything. Moving day was chaotic. Emma and her husband brought pizza. Detective Williams stopped by with a housewarming plant, which Lily immediately claimed for her room. Maria from the shelter came with a group of women Sarah had befriended during her time there, all of them helping to unpack boxes and assemble furniture. Sarah had graduated from nursing school 2 weeks earlier, finishing top of her class. She'd already accepted a position at the Children's Hospital, working in pediatrics, her dream job. The kids had flourished over the past year and a half. Marcus was doing well in 3rd grade, his dinosaur obsession now matched by a passion for reading. Lily was in kindergarten, bringing home artwork daily and asking when she could get a puppy. The answer was when we're settled, which she interpreted as tomorrow. Derek had served 18 months and was being released on parole, but he'd moved to another state to live with his brother. His parole conditions prohibited him from contacting Sarah or the kids, and for the first time in her life, Sarah wasn't afraid. She'd done the therapy, fought the battles, and built a life that was entirely hers. As the sun set on our first day in the house, I found Sarah standing in the backyard, looking at the sky painted in shades of orange and pink, the same colors I'd seen in the parking lot that night, a lifetime ago. Remember when you asked me what I wanted from life? She said as I wrapped my arms around her from behind. Back when we first started dating? Finish nursing school, give the kids a stable home, fall in love with someone who treats you as an equal. I got all 3, she said, turning in my arms. Plus things I didn't even know to dream about. A family. A home. A partner who makes me laugh and loves my kids like his own. They are my own, I said. Maybe not biologically, but in every way that matters. Jake Morrison, she said, her honey-colored eyes shining. Are you saying you want to make this official? I pulled the small velvet box from my pocket. I'd been carrying it for a week, waiting for the right moment. Sarah Chen, will you marry me? Will you let me be Marcus and Lily's dad, not just in practice but on paper? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that love doesn't hurt, it heals? She was crying again, but these were the good kind of tears. The kind that came from joy instead of pain. Yes. Yes to all of it. From inside the house, we heard Marcus shout, "Eh? Jake! Lily found a frog in the bathroom and it's chaos." Sarah laughed through her tears. This is our life now. Frogs in the bathroom and chaos. Sounds perfect, I said, kissing her. Absolutely perfect. As we walked hand in hand back to the house, to our kids, our chaos, our beautiful, messy, hard-won happiness, I thought about that blind date that never happened. About a text that said, "I can't make it. Sorry." I thought about how the best moments in life really are the ones you never planned for. The ones that catch you off guard in a parking lot when you're about to give up and go home. I thought about a woman crying in a broken-down Honda, 2 hungry kids in the backseat, and a choice to stop instead of walking away. That choice had changed everything. It had given Sarah her freedom. Given Marcus and Lily their childhood back. Given all of us a family we never knew we needed. And it had given me something I'd lost 3 years ago when Stephanie walked away, the understanding that love isn't about perfection or performance. It's about showing up. It's about staying. It's about looking at someone's broken pieces and saying, "Let me help you carry those." Inside, Lily had successfully corralled the frog into a showbox and was demanding we keep it as a pet. Marcus was Googling what do frogs eat on my phone. Sarah was laughing, telling them we needed to release it back outside. But Lily protested. He's part of the family now. We have enough family members, Sarah said, catching my eye with a smile. For now, I mowed, and she blushed. There would be a wedding in the spring, small, just family and close friends. There would be adoption papers filed, making me legally Marcus and Lily's father. There would be more therapy sessions, more hard days when the past tried to intrude on the present. There would be fights and makeups, bills and broken appliances, teenage years and college applications. There would be a lifetime of ordinary moments that felt extraordinary simply because we were living them together. But all of that was still to come. Right now, in this moment, we were just a family arguing about a frog in a bathroom, surrounded by unpacked boxes and pizza crusts, in a house that was finally, truly home. And it all started because I didn't walk away from the sound of a child crying in a parking lot. Sometimes the universe doesn't give you what you want. Sometimes it gives you exactly what you need. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, those two things turn out to be the same.